My name is Abdulaziz Suleiman. I am the spokesperson of the Coalition of Northern Groups, CNG, in short.
Okay. So I would like you to tell us the stand on the CNG, on IPOB's agitation for Biafra.
You see, we have taken several stages before arriving at the current position. When the IPOB was becoming violent about 6 years ago, towards the end of 2015 and early 2016, we took a bold step which was necessary at that time and made a Kaduna declaration in which one of the clauses became very controversial and ignited national debate, in which we asked all the Igbo living in the north to vacate back to their southeast so that they will work for their Biafra. And we called back the northern residents in the south. It became controversial with a lot of northern leaders misunderstanding us. In any case, even at that, we pursued that issue to a logical conclusion, because we wrote to the presidency and explained our stand. We wrote to the international community, United Nations and so on, and explained our position. Now after that, luckily or fortunately, the government listened, because it finally banned IPOB and tagged it terrorist organization. Now along the line, they're grouped and still led by Kanu. Only the government and its cronies would know how Kanu was able to be released on bail, and how he left the country, how he has mobilized people again. Now, as we go along, there came the EndSARS protests. The EndSARS protests were initially legitimate. They had a legitimate cause, and they were peaceful. But along the line, we strongly believe it was IPOB, because it was Kanu who incited the ugly side of the EndSARS protests and turned it into violence. A lot of national security assets were attacked and destroyed, security personnel killed, and northerners, which is what we are more particularly concerned about, were attacked indiscriminately and killed in places like Aba, places in River State, in Benin, and Enugu and other places, Anambra and so on. Now we actually protested that, because we see no reason why an ordinary northerner living in Aba should be attacked because people wanted SARS to end. Those guys were not even policemen. Now, after that protest, we wrote to the National Assembly, we wrote to the Northern Governors Forum, and we wrote to the international community, the United Nations. Well, what has happened. And recently, there is a resurgence of a violent agitation for Biafra, still led by the same IPOB, after it has set up an armed group, an armed wing called the Eastern Security Network, which openly attack security facilities and people of non-Igbo origin who live as minorities in the southeast. So you can see it's something that has roots in history. We looked at it that this is a people that is insisting that it's not Nigeria for about 60 years now, since a little after independence, which led to a civil war, and they are still insisting on that. And now, as it is, they have gone violent, with the likelihood of causing greater conflicts that will lead to another civil war. Because most of the people, most of the active supporters, most of the active participants in the IPOB atrocities are young people below the ages of 50. So they have not seen the civil war, they have not experienced the destruction of the civil war, and they are prepared now and they have been brainwashed to fight. So what we are saying is, in order to avoid that calamity befalling the country again, another civil war, we wrote first and foremost to all northern emirs and chiefs, alerting them as to where blame would ultimately lie when these momentous events come to pass. Then we wrote to the National Assembly on two grounds. One, that we actually did not see the reason for going ahead with the constitutional review that has been attempted since 1999 with no result. More so, this is a much more divided Nigeria at this moment. The IPOB is intensifying its calls for Biafra and even becoming violent. The Southwest is intensifying calls for Oduduwa Republic. So we said it would be more ideal, more reasonable, if any constitutional attempt is halted, so that the more fundamental issue of unity, of building a nation, finding a nation first. Because some people talk about restructuring, we tell them, we don't restructure where there is no structure. Let us find a structure first. There is no nation, so what are you giving a constitution for? Let us genuinely sit among ourselves, invite the international community, hold a general referendum. I mean, even the name is in question. The name Nigeria was borrowed. So we are living on a borrowed name, borrowed boundary, even borrowed laws. None is indigenous. I think we can hold, what we are saying is, let's hold a general referendum to decide or to determine who, where, and what constitutes Nigeria. So after we wrote to the National Assembly, we gave the National Assembly about 2 weeks without response. So we now take another option, which is democratic, civil, going to the court. We want the court to interpret whether, in the circumstance of threat of a civil war, it is in the interest of the nation to continue with a constitutional review without determining the issue of, we don't want to call it secession, self-determination. Some people argue that we don't have provisions for self-determination in the Nigerian constitution. Of course we may not, but then there are several numerous treaties and conventions internationally that allows that, and to which Nigeria is a major signatory. So that's what we are appealing to. That's why we went to court. First, we have filed two processes. One is a motion on notice, praying the court to order the suspension of the ongoing constitutional review and allowing the substantive motion and substantive suit to be heard and determined finally. We joined in the suit the Attorney General of the Federation and the two houses of the National Assembly. I think basically that's what we did, just exercising our fundamental right and going to the courts. I don't think there's an offense going to the courts. Just seeking legal interpretation of the situation.